Who owns the switch? Private equity, yield costs, and debt layering. Stakes first. Ownership decides what gets built, when it gets filed, and how much you pay for it. When a local utility answers to a school board, your call carries weight. When it answers to a fund in New York, your bill answers to a spreadsheet. Over the last few years, that spreadsheet grew. Blackstone agreed to acquire TXNM Energy, a regulated utility serving New Mexico and Texas. KKR and Canada Pension Plan Investment Board moved to take a 45% stake, about $10 billion, in Sempra infrastructure. These buyers love one feature: the rate base that earns an allowed return set by regulators. Action. Map the players. Investor-owned utilities sit at the core, still serving most customers. Around them, infrastructure funds, Blackstone, KKR, GIP, by utilities, stakes in holding companies, or carve-outs like LNG terminals and transmission affiliates. Yield cost package operating assets with contracted cash flows, solar, wind, pipelines, and funnel dividends upstream. Holding companies stack debt at different levels. OpCo debt secured by assets, HoldCo debt secured by equity, project debt tied to specific lines or plants. Each layer wants coverage. Each layer prefers Capex that enters the rate base or contracts that behave like one. Here's how the layering works. A fund acquires a utility parent with a mix of equity and HoldCo debt. The utility continues issuing OpCo bonds for poles, wires, and meters. Those costs recover through rates. If interest costs rise, the parent still protects returns by pushing more capital into rate base, expanding the earnings base. Add affiliate service agreements, IT, consulting, real estate, so the utility pays the parent for shared services, moving cash upstream as an operating line that customers ultimately fund. It's legal if priced at cost or with approved margins. It's also opaque. While that was happening, something else took shape. Data centers and industrial loads surged, and funds pitched grid modernization as a runway. Capex trackers and mid-cycle riders accelerated recovery. Smart meters, substation automation, voltage optimization, entering riders that bypass full rate cases. MIT Sloan summarized research indicating utilities deploying AMI saw revenues rise roughly 1 to 2% on average, with no clear immediate jump in prices attributable to meters alone. On earnings calls, executives spotlight constructive regulation and rate-based growth. Translation: regulators approve the Capex, the riders land on time. Now tie it to storms and securitization. When a freeze or hurricane hits, affiliates arrange special-purpose bonds. In 2023, the Texas Natural Gas Securitization Finance Corporation issued roughly $3.52 billion so gas utilities could recover extraordinary costs. Electric storm bonds in states like Florida and the Carolinas follow similar paths. A state entity sells bonds. Customers pay a dedicated fee for 10 to 20 years. Statutes often include non-impairment pledges to protect bondholders. The utility receives cash now, cleans up its balance sheet, and keeps investing. Bond investors get an investment-grade stream. You get a non-bypassable charge that outlives the headline. Impact: rising rates didn't slow deal flow, they shifted tactics. If debt is pricier, the solution is bigger, faster Capex to protect the spread. Allowed returns on an expanding base can still beat the weighted cost of capital. The pressure to find spend, new lines, undergrounding, AMI refreshes, intensifies. Maintenance lags because it's Opex. Replacement accelerates because it's Capex. Reliability improves on paper before it improves on your block. Microstory: a nurse in Albuquerque notices a grid modernization rider on her bill months after that buyout announcement. She uses less during a mild spring. The total barely moves. Across town, a small manufacturer sees a financing charge that wasn't there last year. He negotiates demand response, shifts processes to nights, shaves kilowatt hour, and watches the fixed fees stay still. What nobody said out loud: debt layering multiplies the claim on your payment. At the project level, bondholders expect steady recovery. At the utility, OpCo creditors expect coverage ratios. At the parent, HoldCo lenders expect distributions. Equity expects the allowed ROE. Every quarter, management must show growth in rate base or contracted assets to serve those layers. The cleanest fuel for all of it is a capital plan regulators deem prudent. Tactics to watch: sale leasebacks, sell a substation or HQ to an affiliate, lease it back, convert equity to cash while ratepayers cover rent. Asset dropdowns, move a project into a yieldco and monetize at a higher multiple while preserving operational control. Affiliate O&M, shift crews into a services entity that bills the utility. Each move is a small sluice gate redirecting dollars up the stack. Each requires regulatory scrutiny that's often under-resourced. Meanwhile, wholesale dynamics won't save you. In shoulder months, EIA reported some of the lowest wholesale prices of the year, yet retail rates kept inching up because capital recovery and riders are time-based, not weather-based. Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory found national nominal retail prices up about 23% since 2019, with real prices roughly flat, though some states rose faster. In those pockets, storm bonds, modernization trackers, and fuel pass-throughs outran wages. From their perspective, the model is prudent. Capital needs are massive: aging transformers, new load, interconnection backlogs. Investors bring money at scale. Securitization lowers financing costs versus corporate debt. Allowed returns attract patient capital. It pencils. From your perspective, the model is relentless. Expenses you can reduce, kilowatt hour, shrink. Obligations you can't, fixed riders, accumulate. The bill becomes less about electrons and more about agreements you never signed. So who owns the switch? The documents say a public utility commission holds the lever. The cash flows say otherwise. When ownership is engineered to harvest regulated returns, the switch is wired to capital. If you want it to click differently, you have to change the incentives, not the slogans. How Capex is rewarded, how Opex is valued, how riders sunset, and who audits affiliates. Otherwise, every new improvement will arrive with a fee that outlives the improvement itself. Rate Base 101, the legal math that makes your bill go up. To understand why your bill rises, even when you use less, we have to walk through the quiet ledger that decides what you pay. It isn't scandal, it's structure. And once you see the math, every rider on your bill reads like a page number in the same book. Start with the test year. A utility files a rate case using a representative period, historic, projected, or hybrid, to show its costs and expected sales. That snapshot becomes the scaffold for the revenue requirement, the total dollars the utility must collect to cover prudent costs and earn a fair return. If storms, fuel swings, or interest rates shifted since the last case, the test year translates those shifts into new targets. Everything else hangs from it. Next comes rate base, the depreciated value of used and useful assets, lines, substations, meters, communications, transformers, approved by the commission. That number is the stage. Then regulators set the capital structure, shares of debt and equity, along with the cost of debt and the allowed return on equity. Blend those and you get the weighted average cost of capital, WACC. Multiply WACC by rate base, and you've priced the utility's return before adding operating expenses, depreciation, taxes, and fuel. Now plug in the rest. Operating costs, payroll, vegetation management, IT insurance, plus depreciation, taxes, and purchase power or fuel. Add them to the return on rate base, and you have the revenue requirement. Divide by expected sales to get rates. If sales fall faster than costs, the math forces rates up unless decoupling or a true-up mechanism smooths the gap. Here's the bend that changes behavior. Capital expenditures, substations, feeders, AMI. Enter rate base and earn the allowed return until they're depreciated. Operating expenses, tree trimming, relays tuning, don't. That Capex bias tips choices. If targeted pruning can avoid outages at low cost, it's Opex. If replacing a feeder achieves the same outcome, it's Capex that earns. Both can improve reliability. Only one grows earnings. Multiply that choice across a system, and you get more steel in the ground than performance on your block. Commissions try to counterbalance. Prudence reviews ask, was the project reasonable at the time? Used and useful tests screen assets, actually serving customers. But utilities know the map better than the referees. Information asymmetry. So timing plant in service, selecting test years, and staging projects can tilt outcomes inside the lines. Decoupling steps in where it's adopted. Instead of tying revenue to sales, decoupling trues up to an approved revenue target. Sell less because weather is mild or customers conserve. Rates adjust to recover the difference. It's good for efficiency and load management. It also means lower kilowatt hour doesn't guarantee lower bills. Revenue stabilization and multi-year rate plans do similar smoothing. protecting cash flows from volume volatility while committing utilities to performance and cost caps. Then come riders and trackers. Fuel and purchase power clauses adjust monthly or quarterly. Environmental and grid modernization riders recover specific investments between full rate cases. Storm recovery riders sweep extraordinary restoration into bills quickly, often replaced later by long-dated securitization charges. Each shortens the lag that once forced utilities to wait for full cases. Each shows up as a fixed fee or per kWh adder you can't dodge with a smart thermostat. Interest rates matter here too. When borrowing costs rise, the utility's WACC rises. Allowed ROE may lag adjustments, but growing rate base can maintain earnings. That's why capital plans, undergrounding, AMI refreshes, substation automation arrive in waves. The math rewards place in service, dates that start earnings clocks. The risk is performance drift. Rate base grows faster than outage minutes fall. There's also a quieter lever in depreciation schedules. Accelerated depreciation pulls cash forward, raising near-term revenue requirement and lowering future burdens. Slower schedules do the opposite. Commissions weigh intergenerational equity. Today's affordability versus tomorrow's, while utilities propose blends that support capital plans without sticker shock. Affiliate transactions layer complexity. A parent company can provide IT real estate or shared services to the utility. If priced at cost or with approved margins and audited, it's legal. If scrutiny is thin, it becomes a sluice gate moving dollars upstream that ratepayers ultimately fund. Sale leasebacks and asset dropdowns can do the same, turning owned facilities into rent obligations embedded in Opex. Time to ground this in a neighborhood. A muni files a modest case. Limited plant additions, a multi-year plan with performance targets, no trackers. Rates inch up. Outage minutes fall because vegetation cycles were funded, and the board ties bonuses to local reliability. A nearby investor-owned utility files with a larger test year, a modernization tracker, and decoupling. Rates inch up, riders start earlier. Both keep the lights on. One bill is mostly energy and base service. The other is that plus a ladder of fixed obligations that don't care how mild spring was. You'll hear constructive regulation on earnings calls. Translation: regulators approve capital and riders land on time. In fair cases, that's money for real needs: aging transformers, interconnection backlogs, wildfire risk. In sloppy cases, it's Capex first, outcomes later. That's where performance-based tools matter. Tie a slice of allowed ROE to SAIDI/sci-fi improvements in the worst circuits, feeder loss reductions, and interconnection timelines. Missed targets? Automatic step-downs until results arrive. The through line is simple. Rate base sets the stage, WACC sets the music, riders set the tempo. Decoupling keeps time when the crowd thins. If you want bills to bend, you have to change choreography. Equalize incentives between Capex and Opex. Require value-for-money tests before scale. Sunset riders on schedule, and staff auditors to read every affiliate invoice twice. Otherwise, the math will keep doing what it was designed to do. Pay capital first and ask you for the difference. Disaster as a revenue strategy, securitization, storm bonds, and permanent fees. Stakes first. After a storm, you expect chainsaws and bucket trucks. What you don't expect is a new line that outlives the debris pile. But that's the modern recovery model. The outage ends, the bills begin, and a bonded charge settles onto your statement with legal armor that keeps it there for a decade or two. If you miss this moment, your budget becomes the backstop for yesterday's weather. Action. Watch the playbook. A freeze, hurricane, or wildfire hits. Restoration costs stack. Over time, fuel, poles, transformers, emergency rentals, often into the hundreds of millions. Utilities tap short-term credit and file for recovery. Regulators face three choices: big rate spike now, slow payback through riders, or securitization. The last one wins because it smooths near-term bills. A state-created issuer sells storm recovery or rate relief bonds to investors. Proceeds reimburse the utility. Customers pay a dedicated, non-bypassable charge, true-up adjusted, until the bonds are retired. The Texas example is plain. In 2023, the Texas Natural Gas Securitization Finance Corporation issued about $3.52 billion so gas utilities could recover extraordinary costs. Electric storm bonds in places like Florida and the Carolinas follow similar structures. A key feature appears in almost every statute: a state non-impairment pledge promising bondholders that the dedicated charge won't be reduced or impaired until the debt is paid. In practice, that means future commissions can't easily dial the fee down even if wholesale prices fall or sales crater. The fee outlasts the event. Meanwhile, billing systems flip quickly. You'll see storm cost recovery, extraordinary fuel charge, or restructuring bond charge below taxes and riders. It might start small, then TrueUPS tweak the amount annually to keep amortization on schedule. You can shift laundry to off-peak. You can't dodge a fixed securitization line. Impact: securitization lowers carrying costs compared with utility corporate debt and avoids rate shock. That's the math regulators cite, and they're right. But the math isn't the whole ledger. A one-time emergency becomes a long-lived obligation with a legal shield, and as states normalize securitization, it becomes the default tool. Storm after storm, fuel spike after fuel spike, stacking long-dated charges that overlap. Resilience becomes a carousel of fees. There's a behavioral shift too. If restoration can be financed at lower rates via a separate entity and repaid with a protected charge, the company's downside shrinks. That doesn't make anyone root for storms. It does nudge choices. Tree trimming is Opex. It doesn't earn. Replacing feeders after they fail is Capex. It can earn and later be securitized. Over time, that tilt shows up on your street. Hardware arrives after failure, not pruning before it. Microstories. A diner owner loses a walk-in during a week-long outage. Insurance covers some food, not regulars who drifted. Months later, a storm recovery fee adds $14.63 to each bill. He pays it through 3 slow winters. Across town, a home health aide buys a portable battery to keep a CPAP running during rolling blackouts. The rider lands on time. At a dialysis clinic, the new financing charge can't be shifted with scheduling. Friday hours shrink to make payroll. Investors see the other side, a clean, investment-grade stream backed by statutory pledges and TrueUPS. Yield uncorrelated to the business cycle. Securitization desks model win tracks like insurers. If event frequency rises, supply of paper rises with it. The risk they avoid, regulatory cutbacks, falls onto households via the non-impairment language. Guardrails matter. Prudence reviews should be hard and early, before bonds price, not after. Otherwise, deferred maintenance can slip in under the urgency banner. Tie a slice of allowed ROE to future reliability metrics in impacted zones. Feeder-level SADI/sci-fi and vegetation cycle compliance, so prevention isn't an afterthought. Cap rider stacking. Consolidate overlapping charges with hard sunsets. Publish the amortization table, the statutory pledge, and the true-up formula in plain English. Parallel action. Some public power and co-ops choose tougher roads. Internal loans, temporary surcharges with short sunsets, executive bonus cuts, and accelerated vegetation cycles. Bills can rise faster at first and fall cleanly later. The point isn't ideology, it's incentives. When the fee's legal armor guarantees repayment, vigilance must move upstream to what gets swept into the bond and what conditions. Attach. Meanwhile, wholesale prices won't bail you out. Shoulder season wholesale can soften even as securitization lines stand firm. Those charges are time-based, not weather-based. You can conserve, you can't erase amortization. The legal kicker returns here. Non-impairment means even well-intended political promises. We'll lower bills after prices fall. Hit a wall if the reduction would undermine bond repayment. That's why the bill can feel unresponsive to good news. Yesterday's emergency still owns a lane on your statement. What to watch in filings. Scope creep, costs beyond immediate restoration. Affiliate payments, services billed by a sister company at generous margins. Performance conditions, are they measurable, with automatic ROE step-downs if missed? Rider sunsets, do interim storm riders drop when bonds price or linger? True-up cadence, is the formula transparent and capped to real needs? One last kitchen table. A teacher compares 2 Februaries. Usage down, wholesale charts calmer. The line that moved, restructuring bond charge, up 9 cents after the annual true-up. She didn't miss a payment. The amortization didn't miss hers. Meaning, securitization is a sophisticated tool that can lower financing costs and smooth pain. It becomes a strategy when it turns shock into revenue with legal protections that outlive memories. If you want the next storm to be a story, not a 20-year fee, The fight is before bonds price. Prudence first, outcomes tied to returns, stacked riders capped, and sunlight on every clause that makes yesterday permanent. Grid modernization or Capex machine. The Capex versus Opex trap. Stakes first. Grid modernization sounds like cleaner streets, faster restorations, and lower losses. Sometimes it delivers. Too often, it's a label that converts routine upkeep into decades of earnings. Under cost of service rules, capital becomes rate base and earns. Maintenance does not. If regulators don't draw a hard line, you pay top dollar for equipment that looks good on a slide while the cheap fixes, tree crews, relays, sectionalizing, wait because they're Opex. The bill doesn't care about slogans. It cares whether the fix became an asset. Action. Follow a capital plan sold as resilience. A utility bundles AMI refreshes, advanced reclusers, distribution automation, and volt/VAR optimization across dozens of circuits. Each enters a tracker so recovery starts now, before a full case. In the same filing, vegetation budgets flatten and transformer replacements slip a year. Why? Meters and controllers are Capex, pruning and swaps are Opex. Capex earns, Opex passes through. The incentives choose for you. Start with smart meters. Real benefits exist: remote reads, faster outage detection, theft analytics. But the earnings path is clearer. Hundreds of millions booked as plant in service, then a rider collects while the next case is pending. MIT Sloan summarized research showing utilities deploying AMI saw revenues rise roughly 1 to 2% on average. The study didn't link AMI to an immediate price jump by itself. Households still don't feel relief because riders show up and stick while underlying billing systems capture recovered revenue from fewer estimated reads and faster disconnects. Without a hard pass-through of meter-enabled savings, those gains cushion margins while meters earn. Voltage optimization is similar. Done right, it narrows voltage bands and cuts losses in peak kilowatt hour. Done as a blanket program without feeder-level analysis, it becomes a dashboard triumph with little field impact. The Capex arrives on time, the outage map barely moves. Value for money testing is the difference. Prove measured loss reductions and customer voltage compliance on pilots before scaling. Otherwise, you bought equipment because it earns, not because it performs. Now utility-owned EV fast charging. Public charging is needed, private networks are scaling. When utilities propose rate-basing their own stations, the risk is simple. Ratepayers backstop utilization. Underused chargers still earn allowed returns. You pass a utility logo and a private operator across the street competing on price and throughput. If regulators don't impose utilization thresholds, clawbacks, and build versus buy tests, every empty stall becomes a 30-year earner on your bill. Affiliate services add fog. A parent spins up an integration arm to deliver modernization, software, analytics, program management, then bills the utility. If not audited hard, you pay a related party to implement assets you also financed. It's legal with cost-based pricing and approvals. It's also easy to hide margins in shared services, while ratepayers fund both sides. Impact. The trap is structural. Capex bias thrives when outcomes aren't priced. Undergrounding at $3 to $10 million a mile can be right for wildfire corridors or dense urban cores. Elsewhere, targeted pruning, recluser settings, and sectionalizing deliver more reliability per dollar. Without performance-based screens, hardening drifts toward the costliest fix because it pays everywhere. Riders accelerate recovery, decoupling smooths revenue, depreciation schedules can pull cash forward. Stack them and modernization becomes a Capex machine. Meanwhile, customers feel the split. A restaurant staggers prep, installs controls, and shaves kilowatt hour. The modernization, rider doesn't budge. A multifamily property adds thermostats, trims summer spikes. Base rates dip later. Two trackers rise sooner. Efficiency cuts energy. Fixed capital recovery is time-based. Without reforms, the grid gets smarter to bill and only marginally smarter to serve. What to demand? Equalize incentives. Capex-Opex parity lets utilities earn a modest margin on verified Opex that beats capital. LiDAR-guided vegetation cycles that slash SAIDI, relay tuning that reduces lockouts, staged spare transformers that cut restoration hours. Require value-for-money tests. Pilot on diverse feeders, publish measured savings, voltage compliance, and customer complaints. Then scale. AMI refresh? Prove end-of-life, cybersecurity, and net benefits with a line-by-line bill impact, showing where meter-enabled savings land on rates. Tie returns to outcomes. If a company wants a 10% ROE on modernization spend, condition a slice on feeder loss reductions, worst quartile SAIDI/SCI/FI improvement, and interconnection times. Missed targets? Automatic ROE step-downs until results catch up. Sunset riders. Modernization trackers should convert to base rates after prudence review or fall off. No evergreen labels. Police. Affiliates, competitive bids, published contracts, capped related party margins, and quarterly reports listing services, prices, and justifications. Microstories. A plane's co-op piloted volt/VAR on 6 feeders. Published 2 to 3% measured savings, then expanded. They paired it with Opex incentives. Line crews shared small bonuses tied to outage reductions. Bills rose modestly and stabilized. A large IOU replaced AMI before first-gen meters were fully depreciated, promised engagement, and filed a new tracker. Complaint volumes didn't drop. The rider didn't either. Parallel action. DOE case studies find grid-enhancing technologies like dynamic line ratings and topology optimization can avoid curtailment and defer big wires at lower cost. Classic Opex lean solutions. Under Capex bias, they're overlooked. Performance-based regulation can fix that, crediting avoided system costs and reliability gains whether the solution is hardware or software. Meaning, modernization is necessary. But without outcome-based ROE, Capex-Opex parity, hard value tests, affiliate sunlight, and sunsets, grid modernization becomes a financing strategy with a technical sheen. The grid gets newer. Your bill gets older. If you want modern to mean better, not just bigger, make the math pay for results, not equipment.